Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today, I welcome you to the webinar series of AppViewX Certificate Lifecycle Management. I am Raunaq, and I'm delighted to kick off the first part of the three-part how-to series by focusing on crucial aspect of certificate management, the discovery of certificates. In today's increasingly complex digital landscape, managing certificates efficiently is more important than ever. Certificates are fundamental to securing communication, protecting data, but without proper visibility, organizations can face significant security risk, compliance issue, and operational inefficiencies. This is where discovery of certificates become very vital. So throughout this session, we will explore the various methods for discovering certificates within your network and your CAs and your systems. We will delve into how AppViewX can streamline this process, ensuring that no certificates get unnoticed. We will also discuss the importance of having an up-to-date certificate inventory and how to generate comprehensive reports that can provide you actionable insights. And by the end of this session, you will have clear understanding on how to effectively discover certificates and take the first step towards robust certificate lifecycle management. So I'll quickly dive in and start uncovering the certificates. Now, from an AppViewX perspective or any organization perspective, the certificate lifecycle management can be divided into three parts, right? When there's visibility, that is where you will discover all your certificates, get your inventory ready. Then you can do an automation, right? Where you achieve crypto agility, where you do a complete closed loop lifecycle of the certificates, pushing it to the end device and whatnot. And the third step is where you get the complete control, complete governance, compliance, and everything related to your certificates is managed, right? So these are the three steps and our three parts of our how-to series that we will be, diving into. Now, moving further, so what are the challenges that we face in current organizations, right? We face because
Sorry,
of...
we can't see the screen.
Oh, you cannot see the screen?
No.
So can...
We're able to see the screen. So just checking.
I see the screen. Not now.
Are you guys able to see the screen now?
Yes.
All right, great. All right, thank you.
Okay. I can't. Okay.
All right, great. So in today's world, right, what is the problem with the certificate in any organization for that matter, right? It's basically in outages, right? Because of undiscovered certificate. People do not even know where the certificates are. There is inefficiencies, lack of productivity, right? And if there are problems within the certificate itself, which causes compliance, audit, all these challenges, right? There are fragmented systems. There is no single source of truth. Every application, is trying to manage their own certificates, and it's a mess, right? To solve this, right, what AppViewX will do is eliminate all your blind spot. It will discover all your certificates, put it in a single place, eliminate the blind spots that you might have, and also help you prepare for other crypto changes and disruptions that are coming in the industry, like Google 90-day and PQC and whatnot, right? So all of it, this is covered in the AppViewX discovery and then the next two parts. Now, this is where the solution comes in. AppViewX helps you discover 3x more certificates. Now, why it does that? Because it can discover certificates not only just from your network, but from your CA, from your devices. You can upload the certificate, you can discover certificate from containerized environments, right? And this is how we help you achieve complete visibility, provide you a single source of truth. And this is where you will, at the end, you will reach a position where you can see all your certificates as a single place, as a single source of truth. Moving further, and this is where I will dive into the AppViewX environment so that you can see what kind of, what kind of discoveries that we have. But just to dive in, before I dive in, I just wanted to let you know the kind of discoveries that we will cover today, right? You can discover certificates from your public CA, private CA. You can do a network scan. You can do a managed device scan, cloud scan. You can do a Kubernetes discovery. In fact, you can even upload, or external tool scans, right? Like Coalesce and whatnot, right? We can upload all those certificates to AppViewX. Now I'll stop share and I'll start share again with the environment in place. All right, a second. All right, logging into the environment, and I'm hopeful that you guys are able to see my screen now. All right, quickly jumping into the Cert Plus module of AppViewX. Now, whilst we are here, see, this is the ultimate goal. This is the screen that is the goal of this session, right? This is where you should see all your certificates, right? Whether it is from network, CAs, cloud, doesn't matter, right? If it is a server certificate, everything should be visible here. If it is a client certificate, everything should be visible here. Similarly, for port signing, device, intermediate, root, and all these certificates. Now, the idea of this page is the complete view where you can see what is my common name, what is the serial number, what is the subject, what is the issue common name, how many days it is valid to, when was it created, which CA it got created with, what is my discovery source. All of this information should be populated in this particular page. And this is your ultimate goal on how. I'll come back to this page, but how do we even reach here is the question. That is the part of discovery that we are going to perform. Now, going into the discovery part of things, right? There are multiple ways to discover certificate. There can be network scan, right? As I was talking about earlier. There can be managed device scan, certificate authority scan, cloud scan, transparency log scan, or even the upload of the certificate. Now, just going into detail of network scan, right? In the network scan, you can enter your IP ranges. I want to discover from 1.1.1.1 to 5.5.5.5. All the IPs I want to discover, just put it in the IP range and discover it. You want to do a subnet range scan, just put in your subnets and the relevant ports and start discovering it. You want to do an URL scan, you just put in your URL and do the scans. Now, just going into a little bit of more detail, once you're doing an IP range scan, you can enter your IP addresses, start IP, end IP, and you can enter the custom ports, right? I want to discover 443, 8443, 9443, 10443. All these ports can be defined. Or you can do an all port scan where all the ports that are available from 0 to 65,000 needs to be opened, and then it can go and scan those particular ports and give you the certificates. Or you can do a standard port scan where AppViewX have identified a list of standard ports across our customer base which can be used to connect to those ports and discover the certificates. How AppViewX does this is AppViewX will connect to the IP address. It will do a half TCP handshake to get the certificate, the public part of the certificate. And that is how the certificate is received by AppViewX and stored in the inventory. Now, let's say you are doing a subnet scan. You get in all the details. You say that, okay, we need to do a subnet scan. We need to do it from my node, which is sitting inside my data center called DO or any other data center in your environment. That is essentially the cloud connector, which is sitting in your environment. You select that, and then you select what are the TLS versions that I want to do this discovery from. Is it 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, 1, or SLV v3? Once you do that, you can even include certain IP addresses, which is in the exclusion range. So you're saying that I want to discover from 1.1.1.1 to 5.5.5.5, but I do not want to discover 6.6.6.6 for some XYZ reason. You can put that in the exclusion list and it will be excluded. Once you do that, all the IPs and ports will be populated, and then you can execute the scan. You can say that, I'll come to the associated rule. This is pretty interesting. I'll come to this, but once you do that, what should I do after the discovery is done? Should I manage my certificate? Should I monitor my certificate? Or should I just want to discover it and see what my certificates are? So the difference between manage and monitor in this state is where you can perform any kind of a CLM activity on your certificate is where you can do a manage. Whether I want to renew the certificate, revoke the certificate, reissue the certificate, I can do only if my certificates are in managed state. If my certificates are in monitored state, I can just monitor it for expiry. If it is expiring today or 5 days later or 10 days later or 90 days later, all this information, I can just monitor it if I put the certificate in the monitoring state. And if I just want to see, okay, I'll give you the IP address, just tell me what the certificates are. Just do not move. Just see the certificates, figure it out, and then we can decide whether we want to move it to the inventory or not. And then you can decide, once I'm able to discover the certificate, which group should I move it to, right? So all these groups that you have created in AppViewX will show up here. You can decide that I want to move it to an insurance group or in any other group. You can move those certificates in that particular group. Now, why I was saying that discovery rule is an important feature, and this will apply for all the other discoveries that I'm going to tell, but I just want to run through these rules in a second. So let's say you are discovering certificates from 1.1.1.1 to 5.5.5.5, but you are saying, I do not want to discover any kind of revoked certificates. I do not want to discover any kind of self-signed certificate. I do not want to discover, any kind of certificate created by, a machine which is, valid for 1,000 days, right? All those things is something that I want to exclude. So you can create a rule. You can come here, create a rule. You can select the type of rule conditions that you want to have, whether it is which kind of a CA, what is the template, or you can say key usage. I want to discover all my certificates with key uses of 1024. You can come here and say is one of 1024, and it will create a rule, discover it only for this. Now you can also say that I do not want to discover a certificate with, let's say, 1024. You can say key uses does not contain 1024, and you can create that rule. Once you create that rule, you can, while discovering, you can come here and under the rule section, you can select that particular rule. So what it will do is it will discover all the certificates, but it will avoid the certificates which can relate to the rule that you created. So that is all about network scan. Now, what are we saying here? We are saying here is that I don't know where my certificates are. Here is my network. Can you please do a scan? AppViewX will say, absolutely, we can do the scan in the network scan. And also, once we do the network scan, the interesting part here is that we can also discover what is the OS that is running on that particular IP address. So if I quickly turn this on just to show you the results of this particular discovery, right? If I go to the subnet scan, and you can see here, you can see all the certificates that are discovered, right? And along with that, you also get a section where you can say devices. So it will tell you which IP address or which host name has an F5 or an Apache or IIS or any other, Linux or any other servers that are binded to that particular IP address. So we not only give you the certificate on that IP address or on that subnet, but we also give you the devices associated to that IP address. So that is a smart discovery that we do in terms of network scan. Now, okay, now I have the network scan done. What next? Right? I can go into the certificate authority. I can integrate with your CA, which is, let's say, external DigiCert, Entrust, whatnot, right? Internally, you can have MSCA, all these, whatever you have, you can just come here, integrate, and go to certificate authority and quickly do a scan of the certificate authority. So you can just select, okay, global sign. I can select global sign here and discover the certificates. Right? I just discover the certificates here. So this is similarly if you have an MSCA. So I'll just quickly go to the MSCA discovery to show you that. Sorry. So you go to certificate authority, you just give it a name. Now you can come down and you can do certificate authority scan, right? Whatever is your certificate authority, whether it is DigiCert, Entrust, Google, Amazon, all the major certificate authorities AppViewX supports. You can select that. You can, select the certificate authority. If it is 1, if it is 2, all of this you can select. And you can, as I was telling you, can put an associated rule that do not discover expired certificate, do not discover, revoked certificates. All these rules you can associate, and then you can decide whether I want to move it to the inventory or not. And if I want to, whether I want to manage it or monitor it. And that's it. You discover your certificates from your certificate authority. Now, in certificate authority, you will, or rather any scan for that matter, you can also say, I do not want to run it now. I want to run it, let's say, off hours. I want to run it in the evening, So you can actually go and schedule the scan. Now, the scheduling can be done daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. You can schedule it. You can give it a start date. You can say, you can even give it an end date. Like, I do not want to end it ever. Every day, please at 6 o'clock, go and discover my certificates. I can definitely do that. If you say, do not discover after 2 discoveries are done. So you can click here and say, okay, 2 discoveries are done. Do not discover any further. Or you can end on and you can give a date saying that, stop discovering after 1 year. So these are the options that you get while discovering the certificates. Now, I have done that. I have done network scan. I have, got certificates from the certificate authority. Now, I also want to know where my certificates are or what my certificates are in the devices that I have, whether it is Linux, Apache, Tomcat, Microsoft, IAS, whatever it is, right? What are my devices or certificates there? For that, AppViewX would need to log into those particular devices to go to the certificate store and take out the certificates. For that, what you can do is you can go under device management, and this is where you will onboard those devices. When we say onboard the devices, you can onboard ADC servers, firewalls and all of those things. But when I say onboard, what we mean is you need to enter the details, right? You need to give me where what is the IP address and all of that. But essentially what you need to do is give me the credentials so that AppViewX can actually go in and, log in. And this credentials can be stored in any PAM device that you have, whether it is, CyberArk, Tech and whatnot. It can store it there and it can take the credentials from there. Now, another important thing is for some of the vendors, you will have to give me what is my, config file location so that AppViewX can go and read the configuration, go to the certificate store, find out the certificates. Once these devices are onboarded, you can come here and, go under manage device scan. Here you will be able to see all the managed devices. So if I show you all the managed ADCs are over here. When I say ADCs, the F5s, load balancers, right? Whether it is AVI, Citrix, F5, all these are load balancers that you can go to the certificate store, select which one you want to discover, and you can simply go and discover those. Again, associated rule, I do not want, exclude the revoked certificate, exclude the expired certificate, right? All of this you can do, and you can say, either do not move, manage, monitor, as is with other discoveries, and you can discover the certificates. Similarly, in device scan, you can say find all the certificates which are in the certificate store, or you can say certificate in use. What happens is when you say certificate in use, you are essentially saying that give me the certificates which is binded to a particular VIP or which is binded to a particular website, right? So once you do that, you can go back to your inventory and you will have, a kind of a link created between the certificate and where exactly that certificate is, right? So I'll come back to this once again, but I just wanted to complete the discovery. So you did a network scan, you did a CS scan, you did a device scan. Now you can in fact also do a cloud scan. So we can connect to your cloud systems like AWS, Azure, Google, GCP, right? We can connect to any of these public clouds. You just give us the Azure settings or the Azure subscriptions that you have, or in AWS words, you can give us the account details. How do I sign in? Or it is a cross-signed account, or if it is a standalone account, all these details I will take in, and AppViewX will go and discover the certificates from the AKV or the AWS key stores and all whatnot, right? So it can go there, discover those certificates, put it on AppViewX inventory. And then there are customers who will say, I have, certificates which I was managing, let's say offline, where I was just keeping it in my D drive of a particular server, which is protected. So you can just create a zip file and simply upload it to AppViewX. So that is another option that you get. On top of that, you also have an option where we can integrate with Qualys or any other, third-party tool to take in the certificates that they must have discovered. So all these are discoveries. And once you are able to do the discovery, as I was telling you, you will be able to see this view. And once you, click on any of the certificate, this is the full view that you get, where you can get the complete chain of trust. What is my root? What is my intermediate? Which is my server certificate? Click on the server certificate. You will get all the details. What is my EKU, AKU, what is my extended key users, CRL distribution point, basic constraints, all this certificate information you can get directly from this button. On this page, you will even see which CA signed my certificate. So in this example, you are seeing AppViewX CA has signed this particular certificate. And on the right-hand side, you will see what are my server on which my certificate, resides on. So this certificate resides on this particular IAS server, which if you hover over, you will see the detail of that particular IAS server. So this gives you the complete view where you can say, what are my chain of trust, which CA did sign it, and what is the server on which this particular certificate belong to. Now, if it is a start certificate or a wildcard certificate, you will be able to see multiple devices where it can, belong to. Now, once this is done, right, all of this mapping and everything is done, from the same page, you are able to, download the certificate. You just come here, download the certificate, download the key, regenerate the certificate, renew the certificate, revoke the certificate. Everything can be done from this particular single view. And also, when you click on download certificate, you can download it any format that you want, whether it is PEM, CER, PFX, P12, anything at all, JKS, right? All this, right? You can give a JKS keys, the password for the certificate. If you do a P12, you can still do a password. All of this you can give and you can download your certificate. The other aspects of regeneration renew, we'll get into it in the second session, but this is essentially the page where you will be able to see all the information. Now, just going back, now, not only this, right? In AppViewX, once you have this particular inventory view, you want to see which certificate, has metadata. When I say metadata, in the sense, what are the information about a certificate? Who's the owner? Which, team does this certificate belong to? All this information is something that, you can create over here. So if you scroll to the bottom, you will be able to see something called as certificate attributes, right? So if you click on the certificate attributes, you can create n number of certificate attributes. So if you see in this example, the owner email, right? Whom should the expiry notification go? You can, say which team does this belong to? What is my, again, an attribute like an Akamai connector or anything like that, right? Whatever attributes that you want, what is my BU? What is my owner and who's the manager of that particular person, right? All that information, you can create fields over here and the certificate attribute. And once you have created that, if you go back to the inventory, you will be able to see all these fields over here. If you go under the column section, right, you will be able to see all these fields, which is the metadata of the certificate. Let's say the email ID, division, department, whatnot, right? And the good part is that, you can rearrange these columns based on the user, who's logged in. If he wants to see the email address before this, he just needs to drag and drop that email address to the relevant place, and he will be able to see that email address. So let's say, for example, I want to see an email address. I don't want to see the cost center. I do not care what organization it is. I don't want to see the status. I don't want to see the authority. You can just go, click on save, and all the columns rearrange itself, and you will be able to see the customized view of this particular inventory based on how you want to see it, what you want to see. Right now, I have given all the certificate attributes. How do I even update that? So this is where, if you want to update a single certificate, right? You click on that particular certificate, you go under actions, you go under certificate attribute over here, and you can see all these certificate attributes. Whatever you want to update, you can, simply go and update it over here. If you want to do it in bulk, right, you just go under action, bulk certificate attribute, update, right? And you download this as an Excel sheet, fill all the information, come back here and just upload it on the upload section of this particular, field. So this is how you will be able to manage your certificate, get the metadata, single point, single source of truth for everything related certificate you can get on this particular page, right? And in fact, you can, divide this into multiple groups, where you can say, I want to have 10 certificates in group A, 15 certificates in group B, and whatnot, right? You can put this in different groups. Role-based control, we will learn about this in the later section, but it is all role-based control. You can define what should be my role, or the person who's logging in, what he can see, what he cannot see, what he can do, what he cannot do. All of these definitions can be done on AppViewX, and this can be controlled. This is an admin view where you are able to see all the groups, all the certificates, and everything. In fact, this one last thing which I missed here is that if you look at this certificate, right, if this certificate has a green color, what does it mean, right? We don't know. If this has a gray color, what does it mean? So for that, we have also have a legend over here where we can actually go and see what that color means when it is on the certificate. So this is certificate is green, basically means that it is valid certificate, which is not expiring. It is expiring. The expiry date is more than 90 days for this particular certificate. This is what it means. If it would have been red color, it means that it is expired. If it is orange, it is expiring in 10 days and whatnot. So all these color palettes will tell you if the certificate is expiring or expired and whatnot. And again, and from the device connector, which is on the right hand side, you can actually see the device connector, whether it is in sync, out of sync, not synchronized, failed to associate this device, where the certificate is not available on the device, but it is available on AppViewX. Someone went and deleted that certificate on the device. All this information you can see on this particular page. Now I have the information about my certificates. I have the information about my certificate metadata, right? Now, what do I do, right? The next best thing to do is send out notifications, expiry notifications to the end user or the certificate owner. So you go under certificate expiry alerts, you create a new alert, right? And when you create a new alert, there are many options here. It's highly customizable, where you can say what certificate type do I want to give alerts for. So do I want it for N certificates or do I want it for CS certificates? Let's say I want it for N certificates, right? Then you can say whether I want it, in every day. So for example, it's a very critical certificate. So you can say 1 to 15 days. Pick out all the certificates which are expiring in 1 to 15 days and send out a notification every day till an action is taken. Or you can say, take out the certificate which is expiring in exact 30 number of days or X number of days, whatever is the value. Or you can say start date, end date, right? You can say this is specific. I want to just send out notification starting 16th August and ending on 27th September. You can select even that. And then you can have additional filters. Now, obviously, you will say, okay, I don't want to, send out notification for all certificates. I want to send it out based on groups. So you can just select the group. You can select which group you want to send it out for. Just click on add. Your group is selected. And then what is your notification method? You want to send out an email, or you want to open a ticket on, let's say, SFDC. Sorry, you want to open a ticket on ITSM tool. You can do that. So let's say I want to send an email. So when I send an email, individual alerts allow certificates for renewal, right? So allow certificate renewal. So auto renewal will be turned on. Let's say you disable this auto enroll renew, and you can say notification to be sent as an attachment to the email or as an email body. Then do you want to ignore the already renewed certificate? Yes, of course, I don't want to send out that notification. You can send it over, you can mark it, ignore. Then you can define the recipients, whether it is fixed recipients, or you can pull out from certificate owner. So you can say certificate attribute, let's say owner email ID. It will pick it up from the metadata that I was explaining a minute back on the certificate. It will pick up that email address from that. You can put anybody in CC over here. And then you can, in fact, say what should be my subject line. Certificate expiring in 45 days, 30 days, 10 days, important certificate. Whatever is your subject, you can define it over here. And you can define what should be the body. What are the parameters that should be sent in the body? Whether issuing name is important, valid is important, group is important, whatever it is, you can decide over here and create your own expiry alerts. So how do I do that? Then I will open something which is already there. Let's say I want to see this, right? Now this is created for 0 to 30 days and it is scheduled. So every day it is scheduled weekly. So on every Wednesday, it will go check all the certificates which are expiring in 0 and 30 days and send out the notification. You can just change it to daily so that it checks every day if my certificate is expiring on that particular day or not. And then it never ends and then save. So it is scheduled every day, go check, send out the notification. So this is the expiry alert that we can set up. Now, there are other alerts also that you probably want to set up, right? So for example, you will say, I want to, set up an alert. This is high intensity alert because you will say, I want to set up an alert for a CLM action failure, right? I was renewing a certificate. I was regenerating a certificate. I was doing some activity on a certificate and it got failed. So it can send out a high impact alert, and with the alert message saying it is high impact, please go and check or something like that. And we can set up this alert. Similarly, some certificate, let's say, is extremely important, does not matter which group, it is just an external facing certificate and has not been renewed, no action taken even in the last 3 or 4 days of expiry. You can send a critical alert to, let's say, an escalation manager or something like that and say, this certificate has no action has been taken and only 1 day is left for expiry. Right? You can define all of that, send out an email, just give an email address, subject, and it will send out the notifications. Now, these are notifications, right? So what we saw till now, we were able to discover certificates. We were able to create inventory of those certificates. We were able to create metadata of the certificate. We were able to create a certificate alerts. Now, next thing is creating reports. So people want to create reports on their own, right? So we have a section. I'll just give you an overview on that section where we can create our own reports. So I'll just, for example, just go here and you can create your own reports. It's very simple, drag and drop types, and you can say, I want to create a report with certificate, MSCA certificate as the data set. I do not care what other certificates are there. If I have an MSCA certificate, please create a report. That is my data set. So this is where you can create your data set. You can come here, create a hook. You can come here, create a hook. You can go under certificate, inventory, and filters, right? This is where you can enter all your filters. So you can say my certificate authority, issuing CA, or you can say, issuing CA is, let's say, Microsoft. So this is my data set. I do not care if I have Amazon or if I have any other, right? This is a report specifically for Microsoft Enterprise. And I want to say, please do not, the expiry status or, the expiry status should not be, is not one of expired and revoked. So if you look at it closely, what it basically means is, this is my data set, create reports for certificate authority, for certificates that we found out from Microsoft Enterprise, and it is not expired or revoked, right? All the valid certificates is what we are talking about. So you just create that, you just changing the name. And if you go next, now here you can create a pie chart. You can create a donut chart, bar chart, stack chart, or you can create a grid. So let's say I create a stack chart, right? So you can define what is my x-axis. So I will say issuer C is my x-axis, and I click on save. It will give you, Microsoft Enterprise, what is my private key and what not, right? So you can stacked by, let's say, expiry status. So it will give you Microsoft Enterprise, and it will tell you if it is expiring in 90 days, valid or expiring in 7 days. All these information you will get directly from here. And in fact, these reports are highly customizable, where you can change the style of this, right? So you can say, because, this is just random coloring. So you can say, if it is valid, please put it as green and save. And, so if you see here, this becomes red. So I've changed it to red. I'm sorry, but all the certificates which are valid has become red. So you can customize it according to your need. And then you can even delve down this chart further and say, create a grid, right? So if you create a grid, what exactly happens? You can see the details if you click on this particular chart. So you say common name, and serial number. These are the two information that you want to see. You come here, you click on it, you select it, and you click on save. Now, what happens if you see on the right-hand side, if I click on this, expiring in 90 days, this chart opens up, which is giving the serial number and the common name of the certificate. If I want to download this, I can download this as an Excel or a CSV or a PDF. Now, once I've created, what do I do? How do I even, show it to people, right? I go here, I pin it. If you have an existing dashboard, pin it there. If you want to create a new dashboard, just create a new dashboard. Dashboard 1, 2, 3, and you click on save. Now, this is where you can see it in the dashboard. Now, you enable this report, go back to Cert Plus. Now, anybody who has access to the dashboards can go here and see the newly created dashboards. Search for here. This is what we created. We are able to see our reports over here. So goes here, clicks on it, gets the detail, can simply download, whatever he wants. So similarly, you can create all these dashboards. In fact, this is a custom dashboard that I created, but from this perspective, we also have, existing predefined dashboards like server certificate dashboard. This is for all the server certificates, right? So it gives you, if you have multiple authorities, it will tell you which certificate has been issued by which authority, and if it is expired or expiring and all of those things. It will also give you a report about the certificates which are expiring in the coming months, right? From today, 1 year, how many certificates are expiring each month, right? It can even give you a complete summary view where it will tell you how many certificates, irrespective of the group, irrespective of anything. It will tell you how many certificates are expiring in the next 30 days, how many are valid, new certificate. This is just a general overview that you can get from the dashboard. So just one last part where we, we have also provided something called as an insight, right? Now, what does this insight do? It gives you a crypto score. The scoring, we have various methods to give you a score of the certificate. We can provide that information, but it gives you a score where it tells you whether you're, based on certain parameters, whether your certificates fall under the poor zone or if it is a very good or an excellent zone, right? So if you see all these, it falls under the poor zone, and most of the certificates are critical for, the reasons defined over here. So if we click on it, it will give you under the server certificate, it will give you all the server certificates which are, which are in a critical state. Now, what is the critical state? How do we define the crypto scores? All these are documents that can be provided, but it gives you a score, and these parameters can be manipulated, changed based on each customer. So you can export this list, all this, you can export as an Excel, and you can, or we can remediate, right? Those actions are also there. Now, just going back to the insights again. Now, if you see here, you also get, expiry alerts. You can get certificate based on scan type, certificate based on issuing CAs, right? All these overviews you can get about the certificate. If a certificate is critical, high, low, medium, compliant, non-compliant, and whatnot. And there is also something like a risk and crypto score that we are giving, where again, non-standard CAs will tell you if there are self-signed certificates, if there are wildcard certificates, unknown certificates, root issued certificates where there is no issuing CA, the certificates are issued directly from the root. All the SAN mismatch, all these, standards will give you a way to look into your certificates even before you get an external audit or an external, audit done or compliance done in your environment. Similarly, you have something like a Google 90 days. So this is something that Google is introducing in coming months, where they will say that all the certificates should be, valid only for 90 days, and any certificate above that should not be, should be considered as a non-compliant certificate. So we have started giving you Google 90-day scores, where it will go to each certificate, find out if the certificate is expiring in how many number of days, and based on that, it will categorize those. And it will, again, non-standard certificates, it will show you that as well. And age validity, what is the age of it, 2 years, less than 2 years, 90 days, all these key information, key length, all these are reports that are provided in, these insights are provided so that you can know exactly how the inventory looks like and how you can control, or you can be prepared for any kind of audit and compliance that might happen within the environment. Right. So just to give you a recap, we saw what are the certificate inventory. How do we even reach here? That is where we saw, things about certificate discovery, whether it is network scan, managed device scan, certificate authority scan, cloud upload, all of this. Once we are done that, we also saw rules where we can create rules to exclude a particular kind of certificate and whatnot. In fact, we also, once we saw that, we went to the certificate attributes, right? What is the metadata of the certificate? Who's the owner? Which BU it belongs to? And all that information. You can update it here. We saw the, the chain of trust view, where which certificate authority signed it, where this certificate is, currently on. All this information from a single page. We saw how we can download the certificate. We saw how we can create alerts based on the parameters that we have defined, certificate alerts or any kind of certificate logging alerts that we can create. We also saw how we can onboard the devices, and how we can create reports, and how we can create these the dashboards, which can be shared to specific teams to just monitor and see their certificate details. And also we saw the insights, right, which we can provide to the how we provide a crypto score, risks, risk reports, or the Google 90-day, which is an upcoming feature for all the certificates in the next 1 year, right? So this is it from my end, and thank you for all your patience and your time to listen to this out. And hopefully this session was helpful. If there are further questions, I am opening this call for questions, please. Thank you.
Hello, Raunaq.
Hi. Yes.
Yeah, will you share the video with us?
Yes, definitely. We can share the slides. You're talking about the slides, right? Yeah, we can share.
Yeah, the slides. Yeah, and the entire recorded video.
Yes, definitely.
Some of us I missed from the beginning, so I just want to catch up.
Oh, all right, no problem. We can share that. Any further questions from anyone? I hope your questions were answered on chat.
Hi, it's Natarajan.
Yeah.
Can you show me one more time cloud scan, those things, all we need to do?
Yes, I can do that. Give me one quick second. I'll reshare my screen.
Yeah.
All right. So similar to how we did a device scanning, right? We have to onboard those cloud environment to AppViewX. So if you come here and you go to cloud, right, based on whether you have an AWS or Azure, you can onboard it here. So if you let's say I click on here, these are the informations that you will be able to provide, like the account number, what are your account region, and which data center, what are the credentials. All this information, once you give AppViewX will be able to talk to your ACM or your AKV or your Google Cloud certificate store. Once that is done, all your clouds, devices over here. So for example, if you can switch over, right? So you can see Azure, and similarly, you will be able to see the GCP projects that are there. And no GCP projects at the moment. But once you are able to, let's say, see this information, or you're onboarded the devices, you can actually go under Discovery, which is over here. Go under the Cloud Scan. Select the vendor. Let's say I'm selecting AWS at the moment. Cross-signed, or if it is a child account, standalone, or anything like that, right? What is the account view? Do you want to have a standalone account, or you have a cross account? And if it is a master account or a child account, and whether it is a service view, or all these filters are there. Based on these filters, you can, go and discover those cloud accounts.
Can you show me for Azure? We are actually into Azure.
Yes, definitely. The Azure Key Vault, we don't have this integrated, but in the Azure settings, we can go under the subscription, or once you define the subscription, all your subscriptions will be, populated over here. And once your subscriptions are populated, you can discover the certificates from the AKV or the Azure Key Vault. And from an onboarding perspective, just to complete the loop, if you go
in our environment,
yes,
it is not showing that Azure subscriptions and all. It is just asking for cloud devices.
are you on on-prem, or are you on cloud SaaS?
On-prem.
On-prem. We will have to check that individually. I'm pretty sure the version that you are on might not be the latest one.
Okay.
Yeah. I see a couple of hands coming up. Olamaya?
Hi, Raunaq. Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Hi, Raunaq. Can you hear me?
Yes, Olamaya. Yeah.
Okay, so I just have a few questions.
Yes,
So
please.
so I will want to ask question about the network discovery part. So you were talking about the discovery part. So I want to ask if you want to do a network discovery for a list of subnets, like you want to upload it, is there a way to go about it? Maybe
Is there a
you
way
have
to grab the IPs is what you're
to
asking?
go. So
is if you have a couple of subnets, maybe from the data center, so and you want to do a discovery, the network discovery on them. You want to schedule it. You want to make it to be a schedule scan, maybe every week, so that
Yes.
you're able to discover a couple of certificates. So I'm asking that how do you go about that?
Right. Right. So you can go under the discovery. If you go under the discovery network scan, right, you can do a schedule scan. You can define your schedules. Let's say you define it weekly, right? And you can say run on a Sunday, and you can give the start date, right? On the next Sunday, it will start.
Yeah.
And here you can define the subnets. You can define the subnets, you can define the custom ports, and you
Yeah.
can define which data center it should be on. And once
Okay.
you define that, you add it like in the list of things here. So for example, I'll show you this. Let's say I select everything and click on add. If you see, oh, sorry, I did not enter that. All right.
Yeah, sorry, Raunaq. Sorry. So what I'm trying to ask is, can we do an upload of a couple of maybe subnet instead of us doing it one after the other? We want to upload them, like a couple of subnets. Can we do that?
When you say couple of subnets, I mean, you want, I
Okay.
still don't get the question, but
Okay.
are you asking that can we do 5 subnets or 10 subnets together is what you're asking?
Yeah, so we can just do them at once, like you upload them.
Similarly, yes, you can. So like how we uploaded it here, you can simply go back and let's say you enter 4.4.4.4/24, right? And the same ports, and you can click on add. So here you have added 2 subnets, and similarly you can have multiple subnets. Now let's say if you want to, if you have so many subnets that individually it's difficult, then you can upload it. So from here, you can download the sample file, you can fill that information, and you can upload that file over here. And once you upload, all these data will be populated directly.
Okay, awesome. That's good. That's good. Okay.
All right.
So thank you for that question. So there's one more question I want to ask. So in network discovery, I discovered that most of the time there's always a certificate discovery on endpoint. Is there a way we can prevent that? Because most times, when those certificates expire, maybe there's an expired certificate on any endpoint.
Yes.
You just get like on the crypto score now, it will show you that you have a lot of expired
Yes.
certificate. And when you check, you get to discover that they are endpoints. How do you prevent that?
Yes. So how you prevent that is through rules, right? So as I was telling you, if you create a rule, and let's say you want to create a rule for avoiding expired certificates. So you can say no expired certs, for example. And here you can say certificate expiry. Sorry, you can just click on expiry status. Yeah, if you select status and you can say is not one off, and you can say revoked and expired, and you can apply this rule. Let's say I create this rule, right? I can create it directly over here. What is happening is, sorry, I created this new rule. What is happening is I'm saying do not discover certificates, or rather I'm saying discover certificates whose status is not expired or revoked. And here you go back while creating the discovery network scan or any other scan, you go under rules and you associate that particular rule, right? Like I associated that rule. Now what will happen is when you run it, your expired certificates will not be discovered while discovering the certificates.
Okay, that's
That-
also yeah. So is there okay? What of the ones that have already been discovered? Is there anything we can do about it? Maybe the ones that have been discovered already. Is there any way we can just work on it to just to boot?
It's already discovered. You want to
Yes,
delete that, right?
yes.
Yes, I mean that can be done definitely. I mean, see, we can do a bulk delete as well, but if you really want to delete that, you have to go here under the certificate inventory, and you can use the advanced filters that we have over here, where you can say status or just filter out this, the certificate which are expired, and then we will delete it. Right, so this is how we will do it. So let's we can get into the details of it in the call, but you can delete the certificates in bulk over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I
Okay,
ask
thank you.
something?
Let me just
Yes,
thank you.
please. Yes.
Now, so I feel like certificates are a bit more mission critical, at times, depending, if the certificate itself is, inaccessible, it can cause, problems on a live site. Now, say I was looking at alerts for certificates, and say I have, we have Cert Plus. What are the kind of alerts we should set up, not only for SolarWinds, so in terms of hardware capacity and all that, of course is pretty generic, but we're also looking at some services that we're going to also, enable that on. But otherwise, say if I was even looking aside from SolarWinds to any, SIM solution, what are the kind of alerts we should be focusing on an operational level? Is there some sort of document you guys have, or best practice guide, or anything like that?
Yes, definitely. We will share that guide with you. But
Nice.
from a very high level, there are two kind of alerts that we should be focusing on if we divide that into two parts. One is the
All right.
certificate related alerts, which is basically certificate getting expired and all those things, right? Because that's the most important thing. Your certificate should not get expired. And the second one
Right.
is the infrastructure related, right? For example, your cloud connector going down, or your any other problem that
like
you're
that.
facing in
I
the
like it.
AppViewX
I
environment.
like it. So you have this documented somewhere?
Yes, definitely.
What you just told me.
We do. We will
Yes,
share
I
that.
would love that document. I would love that document.
Sure, definitely. We'll share that across. We are taking notes on that, so we will definitely share that across.
Yeah, hi. I have one
Right.
simple question. For the expiry alert notification, we can select the customized column. Not customized column. We can select the specific columns in the
Yes.
email notification. Can we make it order of those columns? Because, for example, I want to make it like common name in the first. Second is owner of the cert, or second,
Yes.
something like that. So, for example, we have 6 or 7 columns included in the email notification, but I want to make it order of those columns. Is that possible?
Yes. Yes. So basically, the ones that the order that you select over here, right, is the order of the columns that will be there. So for example, if here, let's say you want to have the common name as the first one, right? So you select the common name, and the second one, let's say you don't want the serial number, but you want valid from. So you can just say valid from, and then you want the serial number, you can put the
There's
serial
some background, whoever's talking. I
Uh,
can't understand him.
Sorry, can you guys unmute anybody? All right, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So basically what I was saying is the order that you will put this email body content over here is the order which will send, by which we will send out the emails to the owner. So for example, if you want common name first, you just put the common name here. You don't want the serial number to be the second one. You rather want valid until to be the second column. So you can just select valid until, then you can select valid from, and then probably you want serial number. So you can just select serial
Okay.
number. So the order over here is the order that the email notifications will go in.
Okay.
Can I ask a question to extend this? So now that we have the notifications set, like this expiry alert, notification, how do we integrate this, say, with the SIM solution? Like this particular alert, I know how to connect the SIM solution. My question is, how do I say this alert should be, sent through syslogs, this particular one, to whatever SIM solution? How do I route that?
Right. So
Exactly.
yeah. So basically, this alert is not for sending it out to the SIM or any other log forwarder for that matter. This is more
Okay.
about email and more about ITSM integration for opening tickets and whatnot. But let's say you want to send out notifications about a certificate to the
Expiry. Yes, yes, please.
expiry alerts or anything like that.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
That there are a couple of ways to do that, right? The first thing first, second, it's got stuck. First thing first is basically you can create alerts, right? So if you go under like the certificate logs, or rather the log forwarding for that matter, which is under over here, just searching for log. So you can when you actually do a log forwarding, you cannot do it for specific certificates, but you can say anything related to a certificate, which is an alert, right? Which is, let's say, a fatal, warning, and critical.
Okay.
You can send these out so that specifically when a certificate is expiring, when it is critical, let's say 5 days, it becomes critical, then it can be sent out as an alert.
So now what you've said here is that you've done log forwarding, you named a server, I believe named the receiver, port, data center, and then severity type, and then certificate. I see. And then you can do this with a Boolean logic too, like expired, unexpired in this domain into this subnet.
Yes.
Oh, I like it. Thank you. Very kind. This is also in the document that you were referring to.
This is in the document. Yes. We can share the complete list of documents. Which
Please,
is,
I'm sorry, I'm being irritating. I apologize.
No, that's actually a good question, right? Because
actually, I'm working on it now, and my team members on this call, and they've been after me for a few days, and they think I'm trying to avoid it. It's just a very complex thing. I don't want to submit the wrong thing, so please, I would really appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, no problem. We can send it out. Yes, definitely.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay, I got one question, and I'll make
Yes,
it quick. What's a roadmap for your integration with Azure Gov?
It is in the roadmap, but I frankly do not have the timelines yet. But it is in the roadmap at the moment. But this specific information can be provided by the CSM, who's dealing with the account.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we are touching the hour. Any further questions?
Raunaq?
Yes.
Yeah. So how do you consider, I don't know whether you've spoken about that already, but how do you consider more like onboarding like Kubernetes environments into AppViewX? Do you have that consideration?
Yes. I mean,
in terms of being able to get the devices on there so you can be able to check their certificates out.
Yes.
Alerts on them and stuff like that to monitor that the certificates or manage them from the Kubernetes space. Is there, how do you go with that?
Right. Hans, I can connect with you on the Kubernetes side on how we can discover the certificates. I do not have that environment right now, but I can definitely connect and showcase that in the coming days.
No problem. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Raunaq, we can.
Yeah, we can catch up. Yeah. Thank you, Hans. Yeah. All right. Any further questions, please?
I have one.
Yes, please.
So in the left side, again, go back to the expiry alert. I see in the alert, configure certificate alert That is one option is there. So what is the difference between those two, expiry alert and configure certificate alert? I know expiry alert is less specific to the expiry email notification for all the certificates, something. But what about in alerts field? Yeah, I see that.
Yes.
But I
So-
see configure alert in my environment, but I don't see from your side.
Okay. Probably because that is something that is not there in the latest one. We directly go to the certificate alerts or the expiry alerts. We have removed that part. I think that I remember what you're talking about, but that is removed now. So it is just certificate alerts and expiry alerts.
Okay, so that's what I'm looking. So those are the
Yeah.
little bit tricky, and then we already use those kind of configure alerts in that section, but
Right.
those
So
are not. Yeah.
now we are asking customers to move over to the expiry alerts because that is much more, it's not complex. It's pretty straightforward and it gives you much more details, right? That you can enter there.
Yeah. So before I ask you, right, so order of the columns, everything. So that is not possible in that section configure alert. So I don't see those to make it order of columns in the email.
Yeah, that is there in the expiry alert.
In the
That is there
expiry.
in the
Okay.
expiry
Yeah.
alert.
Okay. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
I don't know, not related to this, but just in our environment, I see there's a compliant column, and so I'm not sure what's the criteria used. I see some non-compliant, some compliant, even though they are not expired. They are in green. So
are you talking about this column or are you?
If you go into the server, for example, certificate inventory.
Okay.
Server. In my list, I do have a column that says compliant.
Oh, okay.
I think there's a cron job that checks for SSO validity, and there's two cron jobs that does something in the background.
Right.
Yeah, so I wanted to understand what's the criteria used.
The criteria used, yeah, I'll tell you the criteria used. So basically, I got your question now. So basically, a certificate, if you go under the CA policies, right, we have created policies, or it might already be there in your environment. This is what is used to compare your certificates to. So for example, you in this criteria, you have strict validations in place, right? And you say that I should be able to create certificate with a bit length of only 2048 and 4096, for example. It will consider these two as compliant and anything other than this is non-compliant. So in fact, what you can do is I would suggest you to go to the dashboard under the server dashboards that will pop up here, server certificate dashboard. If you go over here and you go to the compliance report, there is something called as a policy compliance report. And if you click on the red part, which is non-compliant, it will give you the parameters which the certificate is non-compliant for. So just expand this and you will see the, the parameters which are defined, and you can see what is not compliant.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm a little bit limited on the access because it's managed service.
Right.
But I do have access to the dashboard. They already asked our managed service provider and they have not replied to me.
No problem. I think this will give you a good understanding on what is non-compliant. Yeah.
This is perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Any further questions? All right. I will take that as a no. All right. So thank you everyone for joining in. Good discussion. And we will see you again in the next part of this series, which is automation. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.